important. And I think Mike's deprecation example really hits on it. And Miriam touched on this a little bit. Everything old is new again. The reality in my head is this. If you haven't gotten your ducks in a row with traditional SEO at this point, a lot of people aren't going to help you anymore because we're moving. And I don't know how else to explain this to companies. Like, now is not the time to go back and learn what structured data is or how to deploy it. Like, if you're having those conversations, I kind of want to tell you, here's some remedial studying for the weekend. Come back to me when you're serious about moving forward, because you had 20 years to get that done and you're still struggling. So I don't know about anyone else, but I'm pretty sure that this group is going to agree with me on this. We are moving so fast now that it is a sprint. It is a 26-mile sprint. There is no more example of, oh, it's a marathon, it's a sprint. No, it's all a sprint, and it's infinitely long. And you either can keep up or you cannot. And so I agree with everything I'm hearing so far. I'm right there and mildly frustrated.
Why are you mildly frustrated? With the people saying it's just SEO, that group?
Well, I'm mildly frustrated by that, by the traditional oversimplification of something that gets applied to something that is demonstrably more complex.
Gotcha.
Like people coming at me saying, I write an article about chunking, and they're like, oh, I can't say that to my executive, I'll get laughed out of the room. And I'm like, do you not understand that word is actually from the machine learning lexicon? Like, it refers to something that these systems do, and you have to understand that. Of course, they don't understand that because, again, no one reads. They're scanning things. They're moving too fast, thinking they're keeping up. I'm telling you, the cost of keeping up is you're not watching television, you're not playing video games. You are literally 18 hours a day consuming. You're dreaming this stuff at this point. That's where we are at. At least that's where I am at. And I suspect Mike and Miriam, Barry, and you, and a whole bunch of us are in that same kind of overload, buzzy headspace that, to Miriam's point, existed 20 years ago when we first started going to conferences, sharing these little tidbits of what worked and what didn't work and how it worked and why it worked. We're back to that again. And yet people want to oversimplify it. They want to dumb it down to, oh, just one thing.
Right.
Okay.
Yep. So Miriam, I'd love your thoughts on, do you believe that SEO is deprecated as well?
I hope that you would go for Barry because it's not characteristic when I'm quiet. But I'm going to have a spicy take here. I think that if you have been doing SEO like 20 years ago, yeah, this is brand new to you. If you've been doing SEO and keeping up with stuff, you would have noticed that we were headed in that direction. However, and I'm going to nuance this, where it gets a bit complicated to explain this to folks is before we used to have a bit more control, right? It doesn't matter. I don't care about branding. Who cares? I don't care about PPC. I can do my SEO. I am king or nobility of the world, okay? We're number one, we get money. But nowadays, I find myself having to explain to executives some things that are not comfortable. Number one, the darn thing hallucinates, okay? So it's not even your own, I don't know if I can swear, but let's just say cow poop. Okay. But it's not just you pretending some stuff until reality catches up and your brand is strong. Now we have sentiment analysis. Now I've seen some April Fool's jokes being integrated into the ethos of a brand and then spat out in LLMs. So you have to explain stuff that you would think, okay, maybe the social media team should be helping as well, but nobody's rushing. We're the only ones in SEO trying to figure this out. So to me, yes, SEO as people used to do it 20 years ago with a recipe without any curiosity, trying to understand what's going on, that's deprecated. But if we're talking about AEO, GEO, I don't care about the acronyms. At the end of the day, are we doing this job? Yes or no? I'm waiting. The jury's out on what it's going to be called. I really don't care. I'm old enough to know everything that's old is new again. The one thing that I would bring about, though, is I'm obsessed with multimodal, and not too many people are interested in it. But how many times can I just like show a video of a broken thing or a microwave that's in German and go, help me figure this out? And it will help me. And this to me opens brand new avenues. So now I take pictures of packaging and I tell people, that's your landing page. Can we please optimize it for image vision? Yeah, it's not that, to me, everything about SEO is deprecated. However, the concept that we had needs to be updated for sure. It's just not the same game. And now you're running into new frictions with new teams. You're no longer like, I'm nobility, yay, I don't care what you say, I'm number one. We now have to actually grow up and maybe be polite and learn how to deal with others, right? So this, yeah, Mike, you know what I mean. Like, some of us are struggling with that. We're having tantrums.
Are you calling me not polite?
Oh, this was not towards you. I'm
messing with you. I'm messing with you.
Yeah, but I have a few names that came up to my mind, and I think the audience as well. You know who's coming up to your mind when I say that.
All right, Barry, your opening thoughts on this whole future of SEO.
More on the, I guess, Miriam's side of things. I don't think many SEOs are trying to oversimplify things, nor do I think they're playing video games. I don't know. I never last time I actually did any entertainment. Personally, I don't believe in entertainment. I believe in just working and constantly working. That being said, one thing I've been doing is writing about how SEOs have been operating for the past 20 plus years, and SEOs who are around today that were around 20 years ago are always stepping up. It used to be back in the old days, submit your page to the index and submit them to 20 different search engines over and over again every single day. Then it was do on-page SEO, then link building, then universal search came out, feature snippet optimization. I'm jumping a little bit, entities, etc. We're constantly stepping stuff up. So the best SEOs continue to like add things to their plate. Yes, this is a huge jump in terms of what SEOs are adding to their plate. A lot of SEOs were focusing on like one thing or two things. Now you really need to have everything under your belt to make this possible. And the best SEOs, the ones who have been here for many, many years, many of you guys on this video right here, are the ones who could adapt. The ones that don't adapt are the ones that die. And we've seen many SEOs with big names over the years that either fell off and are no longer doing SEO, working for big companies, doing marketing in general and so forth, but no longer doing SEO and like optimizing their own stuff. That being said, there are a lot of changes coming. Obviously, clicks are vanishing for a lot of people. Branding is becoming more and more important because of that. And this whole agentic experience stuff. How do you get your client to think about, building agents that integrate with these AI engines and so forth? I'm the guy who often like will cite Google about things as well. And Google just, had us, there was an article right now in Ad Age, I think, or one of these places, where a Google spokesperson told Ad Age that basically everything remains the same when it comes to optimization or SEO. There's nothing specific you're going to do to optimize for AI overviews or AI mode outside of their existing SEO fundamentals. But again, how you work with clients is going to change. Like, are you going to count clicks anymore? No, you're not going to say, oh, I got you this amount of clicks or this amount of conversions and so forth, because it's going to be harder to target and track and so forth. And only the ones that are actually looking at, how do I show my clients that this is the return on investment? How do I show my clients what I'm doing? How do I show that we're adapting to this? Are the ones that are going to survive. And this happens every several years, but with this change in search, which is the most fun I think I've had covering search in a long time, because it's changing so fast. It's going to change. It keeps changing like very, very quickly. And it's going to make and break a lot of SEOs. Not that we should call them SEO. I don't really want to call them, but whatever it is, I don't think SEO, the name, is necessarily going to change so fast. But I think the best SEOs that are here today are going to probably stay and adapt. But at the same time, there are a lot of lazy SEOs out there that work off a checklist, and those checklists, those checklists are going out the window. So I do think things are going to change, but I don't think it's going to change. Looking back at the past 20 years, I don't think it's going to be like, oh, they're doomed. The ones that were here 20 years ago and that are still here today, I think will be fine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that's like a key point there, Barry. It's like for the near term, it feels like SEO remains as relevant as ever. Would you all agree with that? Like, I mean, yes, deprecated, but there's still, Google saying there's 5 trillion searches. I know a lot of those clicks go to Google and don't actually go out to the web. But how are you sort of positioning that yourself with the clients you're talking to? As AI search grows. Do we just kind of accept like, hey, this traffic's not coming back from Google? Or like, how are you sort of talking about that with your clients? Mike, do you want to start there?
Yeah, so I don't think what we're talking about is that like SEOs are going to disappear. Like that's not what I'm saying.
Yep.
You know what I mean? What I'm saying is that everything is fundamentally different. The channel is different, the user behavior is different. The expectations of what we do in order for us to achieve something in this channel has dramatically changed. And one of the biggest follies that we've done as an industry is just accept that. It's like, oh, okay, Core Web Vitals, we're suddenly performance engineers. Nobody's getting paid more for that. So it's like silly for us to just continue to accept things that Google impresses upon us. Now, to the question you just asked me, absolutely. We've been educating our clients on how the channel is changing for like the last 2 years. Like I wrote a blog post on this very site like 2 years ago talking about how retrieval augmented generation was going to change everything about our space and how everyone was going to see losses between 20 and 60% in traffic. Here we are,
Yep.
So like we've been telling clients that for a while, and at first they're like, cool, whatever. And then once they started seeing these impacts from AI overviews, they're all ears. And then, when I wrote the thing about AI mode, again, they're all ears. And then everyone at the C level is all about, well, how do we get visibility in ChatGPT? And even though I keep telling them like, hey, you're not going to get any traffic, it's not going to have the same level of business outcomes, they still want to be there because of the immense growth that these channels are having. So yes, it is a complete reframe of what we do because to the point that Miriam made, like we have to interface with a whole bunch of different disciplines here. It's not just about text on web pages. It's about what's going on in video. It's about what's happening across the content ecosystem. And so I had a meeting with one of my clients last week when they were like, hey, we are going to stand up a GEO team. How should we structure this? And that's my whole point. SEO is defined in a lot of people's heads as a specific thing. It's free traffic. It's content for robots. It's all these like backdoor things that people don't give much value to, which is why our industry is very much undervalued. Right now, we're talking about AI, and people are saying to us, what do we do? How does this work? Who do we need on the team? And so for us to keep living in this limited SEO lens, we're missing out on this opportunity to reshape what this is. And the media is coming in and defining it for us. And then clients are starting to come to us with those questions rather than the framework that we can develop as the industry that's been here for the last 20 years.
Right. Duane, your thoughts there?
Yeah, so this is really interesting, right? Mike is touching on something here that I've written extensively on recently on my Substack, and it's this whole notion of skill retraining, new skills that we need. I even did a 4-part series on inventing new job titles that might exist. They're fictional, right? Some of them are just like tongue-in-cheek funny, but the point behind them is very serious. I've had a half a dozen calls with companies looking to restructure teams, and they want guidance on what skills should I be hiring? I took a tremendous amount of heat from people in the industry a couple weeks back when I suggested that we need to start hiring new skills now so that in 2 years, those people are executing on the work you need them to execute on. If you are hiring someone to do keyword research now, and you think somehow miraculously in 2 years they will be an expert at the concept of query fanout and how to utilize that information in a content context, you're delusional. If they don't understand it, you are going to have a training program. You are going to have to bring them up to speed, or you're going to have to hire people who already have this skill set. And that's what I'm advocating, is you have to hire the skills today. Look, I think the industry is going to be a mess for the next couple of years. I think companies are going to be a mess for the next couple of years. We are back, for better or worse. Barry said, like, it's kind of some of the most fun a lot of us have had in a long time, because the change is so rapid and it's interesting. And I won't speak for everyone else, but I will speak for myself when I say it forces me to learn new things every day for hours a day, going deep. And it's stuff that I normally would not have gone and read all these academic papers on all of this stuff just for fun. But it is such a fundamental part of what we're doing, what we have to do in the future. It's not optional now. So you need those skills. You need that understanding. You need that curiosity. I think, and Barry raised an interesting point, like, we are seeing a lot of people burn out of the industry. They're not interested in all of this change. We're seeing, thankfully, a lot of people willing to adapt, want to learn about it. And we're seeing, I had a call, really large brand, like a Fortune 50, and they're very concerned about their procurement pipeline for tool sets in 2026. So I launched the quadrant, like kind of ranking all these 40 different AI tools and where they are on trust versus features. And they're using that to define the top 10 that they will then go put time into to interview and look at and demo and all of this. And I'm like, I'm not saying what I did was the right path, but it is a path. It is something, and it's saving someone a lot of time. And we're going to see a lot more of this happening. People wanting to identify tool sets and what they can do with them and what they can use them for. Mike mentioned zip tie. It's amazing. It is awesome. Extremely technical. So if you're not a technical person, you may not be able to wrap your head around a lot of it. There's a lot of talk about Profound. They just scored 20 million a few weeks ago in funding. So obviously they have an advantage. But there's a lot of new things out there. And, it's not just know the tool. It's know the tool, know the work, know your work. What are your goals? This is across everything in your company. You're no longer the little pet off in the dark corner doing your strange language. No, this work is now impacting everyone. And it is really important that people doing this work truly step forward. I can't stress that enough.
Right. So I'll shift topic just a little bit. We know that at this point, AI search is still driving, pretty small amount of traffic to websites, despite, what Google's Elizabeth Reed may have told us in a recent blog post. I'm just kind of curious, Miriam, I'll throw this to you first. Do you think people are expecting like AI search to eventually become like Google level of search, or, because obviously we're all seeing a lot of traffic declines, a lot of websites are seeing that. So what do you make of all this? Do you think GEO, or whatever we're going to call it, is overblown, or is it just not there yet?
I have plenty of opinions. So first of all, I don't think it's quite there yet. Here's why. Many people that have companies will not be willing to throw a bunch of money on something that could one day just say the opposite of what it was saying the day before. And these types of inaccuracies, like, I really appreciate the fact that Mike's clients and Duane's clients are like looking towards the future, are invested in it. I deal with the scared clients, okay? I deal with the ones that have the legal department going, what you doing here? And so this is something that I've been paying attention to. Whenever Sam Altman needs money, he's going to talk about AGI, and then there will be funds coming in, okay? The other thing is, I'm obsessed with something that Mike said, and I'll tie it in a second. We are redefining the web. We helped build the web as SEOs. We helped make it a trash fire, okay? And right now we have a chance to not make the same mistakes. So this is fascinating to me. But it also means that rest in peace to all the ex-SEOs that ran into analytics land, because now they're struggling because the metrics are changing and we have to rebuild them. So this is a notion that I have, and Profound, great for the $20 million, fantastic. I'm wondering other stuff.
Yeah.
So what is this nascent industry built on? Okay, so first of all, there's the whole, we need money, and I'm waiting for the hype bubble to burst, and whatever remains behind will be what we use. That will be the gold. And for Profound, I'm just wondering, okay, how do you get the data? And this leads me to having this thought that for Core Web Vitals, we have what we call lab data and field data. So what happens in perfect conditions and what happens out in the wild when users are coming on your website. Well, when it comes to tracking LLM visibility, it's the same. We have the prompts that us as a company have defined because that's what we want in ideal conditions, no personalization, no memory, nothing. And then we have the field data. And that field data right now, the closest name to it is clickstream data. So whenever I evaluate these solutions, I'm like, where do you buy that clickstream data? Where is that coming from? How do you cut it up? Because if I'm in France, I don't need the US clickstream data. That's not the same real world that I'm facing. So I think that all of these situations really need to be figured out on the business end of things for this to become a viable thing that we look at and go, okay, this is serious. We have some compliance, we have some legal frameworks around it, etc. Danny, if you're comfortable with it, I need to dovetail into something because I've seen a very good set of questions from Nava Hopkins.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
So,
yes.
I'm going to read them. I don't know if anyone else has seen them, but what does ethical SEO look like in the AI era versus black hat? And there's a few PPC people that thankfully are interested in SEO, and they had a discussion regarding how brands might be able to fool AI into believing something about a brand based on UGC or other inputs. And I've seen that happen. I've also seen some hackers enjoying themselves very, very much with poisoning all of these LLM outputs. So what would a holistic SEO perspective look like? So for me, the work I've been doing with some big enterprise clients is slowly trying to explain to them, you need to think about your branding quadrants, not in I own brand, and then I'm going to make SEO demands and PPC demands. There's what you say about your brand, your known brand, all your assets that you put out there. There's the latent brand, everything that everyone is saying on social media about you that you may influence, but you don't control it. There's the shadow brand, all the stuff, all the leaks, all those forgotten PDFs on like page 4 of Google search results. They come back to haunt you. You had a lawsuit in 2016. You're still having that lawsuit according to ChatGPT. So once it's out, how do you handle that stuff? And then from all of these bits, you have the AI narrated brand. It's now your brand ambassador, and for better or for worse. And that's the portion that brands are struggling with. So just before I pass it off to someone else, when we talk about holistic stuff, that's what I think about. And I know I'm going to break Zara's heart, but when we're looking for fun summer or spring dresses, that typical Zara model face of is not going to cut it, because machines are now looking at the model's face going, you don't look like you're having fun. I have 89% confidence. This is not joy on your face. So this is the type of stuff we have to think about now.
Absolutely. Okay, Barry, I'll come back to you. We sort of started with, is GEO overblown there before we veered off for a minute. So, I mean, obviously you've been covering the industry for 20 plus years. You've seen a lot of stuff come and go. Seen SEO declared dead probably more than anybody else on this call. So, what are you thinking as we see this heading forward? Do you think GEO at this point is overblown, or how are you feeling about it?
I don't know. That's a tough question. It goes back to our original conversation about SEO versus GEO. I don't know. I don't know if it's overblown. There's a lot of money at these things being thrown at this place. A lot of, like you said, 20 million to Profound. They're all going to get consolidated at some point. Somebody's going to buy most of them up and consolidate them into being something else. I know several companies, not just Profound, that got a lot of money from massive investments to build tool sets around this stuff. So Is it the new blockchain? No, I think AI search and AI chat bots and all these things are really the future. I just don't know. I don't know. I don't like to diminish SEO and say SEO is just somebody in a back room. SEO is not like it was 20 years ago. I mean, you have VPs of marketing and SEO at massive organizations. I don't think I try not to believe that SEO is something that's undervalued anymore. It used to be undervalued. I really don't want to believe that it's undervalued anymore in this year, 2025. That being said, yeah.
Barry, what Fortune 500s do you work at? It's still very undervalued.
We had a number of VPs of like SEO for like the New York Times and different organizations that are really high end. I mean, I don't know off the top of my head, but I know we had them on Search Engine Land and XMX speaking and so forth with vice presidents.
There are VPs of SEO. I'll give you that, and some of them make like 300 grand, but they manage a channel that yields billions of dollars, and they're only getting 300K. Like, that's a pretty big disparity. Whereas you've got people in the media side that are making closer to like 500-600. So I still don't believe it's valued that way. And also, like, when people come to go get an SEO agency, most of them want to spend like 10 grand a month, when again, they're spending millions on paid search.
I have people coming to me looking to build an Amazon clone for $5 grand. Yeah, I hear that. I mean, there's always people like that out there. So yeah, a lot of that has to do what you brand your company. I mean, there's one SEO company, a reputation management company charging, $500 a month, and you have one charging, I don't know, tens of thousands of dollars per month for the same exact service. So I think a lot of that is around branding, which goes back to a lot of what we have to do in terms of this whole new model. It's not really new per se. I mean, there's the fundamentals that you need to do. And there's the stuff that SEOs, the really good SEOs, have been doing, like yourself, Mike and Duane, and Miriam, you guys have been doing this stuff for a long time. You've been talking about this well before the AI revolution, or what you want to call it. There's some new elements to it, but that's really API integrations, the whole agentic stuff. So a lot of this stuff is new, but it's really not new. And I think, like I said before, the best SEOs will survive and adopt these things and tell their clients how to incorporate it. I don't know if we need to change the name so that, I don't know, some VP could get another 200 grand on a salary. I mean, it'll be nice. I don't care about that per se. But I do think I would like to see the SEO name become more and more credible. And I think this is the avenue towards it. And I don't think we have to change it to being GEO or AIO or EIO or whatever you want to call it.
So that's why I disagree, because if that was true, it would have happened by now.
I think it's been happening.
Like you said, all of these people have been doing great work for so long. It hasn't changed the perception of SEO.
I mean, Duane, how many of the former speakers back from the early SES days that were sitting black hat SEO are now in massive corporations doing SEO, maybe with bigger titles?
What you're thinking of, and it's a very real thing, right? Like there is a number of people historically from the industry who are really good at traditional SEO, black hat SEO, understood all of it, were very successful. And those people have largely gone into the background to be the guiding force at larger, technically minded companies. And they're doing good work, right? Like, I think both you guys, it's funny, I'm kind of envisioning this boxing match happening, but it's all like candy canes and, fluff and popcorn and whatnot, because I agree with both of you and I disagree with some things. I fundamentally think that I'd say about 7, maybe 10 years ago, we hit the peak of SEOs getting large titles and large salaries. And we've seen that trailing down not because of necessarily a lowering appreciation of the work, but because a vice president of marketing is an easier title for a company to understand, especially a publicly traded company that has to report to a board, that has a C-suite making these organizational decisions. And marketing then becomes the catch-all that holds all of the disciplines within that, including SEO, which ultimately means as an SEO, you're never really going to get above director. And if you do, it's probably at a smaller company or sometimes at a much larger company where they need more executives to spread across. So I think everybody's right. I mean, that's my kumbaya statement on it. But I will say this. I fundamentally think that we are seeing a change here. You can't let go of the face. I love how Miriam put this, when Sam needs money, he comes out and talks AGI, right? And it's like, this is a really, really, really important nuance for SEOs to wrap their head around, okay? She says Sam, right? But really she means Perplexity, she means Claude, she means Anthropic. Like every one of these companies has their little pull that they go for. And what's incredibly so very important about this is the 700 million people that use ChatGPT, because most of those people don't know what search actually is or is not. All they know is they asked a question and they got an answer that seemed trustworthy. And that seemed trustworthy part is really important, okay? Because for us to actually trust answers out of these systems, we need universal verifiers. And universal verifiers are a minimum. Beta versions are 18 months away. And then probably 2027 before we see practically applied universal verifiers, an LLM fact-checking an LLM. I'll let you go down your own rabbit holes about the efficacy of that concept, but it's being worked on. Fact is, 700 million people don't know the difference. And they're looking at something. I needed a new washing machine 2 weeks ago. So I took a photo of the barcode that was on mine, was shocked to realize I'd had it for 10 years, and was like, oh, no wonder it's kind of like crapping out on us. Okay, there you go. And immediately ChatGPT 4.0 comes back with, here are the top 3 compete products to that modern version. Would you like a summary of each one? And sure enough, I'm not joking. I went from 11 p.m. at night having that conversation in the dark because I couldn't sleep and needed to solve this problem, to the following afternoon, Lowe's was delivering our new washing machine to us. And so do I really care whether it's a search engine, whether we call this GEO or SEO or no, I don't. As a consumer, I really don't care. And I got a good answer and I've got a great machine and I love the music it plays every time the cycle ends. Like that's what matters to me. I solve my problem. And you guys know this. I mean, if you're on this group, you've heard me, go on about this ad nauseum. Like, this is the fundamental thing that marketers need to wrap their head around, is the consumer side of it, their intent, their interest, and the rest of it is kind of, I don't know, it's a little squishy right now. There's, I can sit here and argue and tell you there's all kinds of new technical stuff and you have to know this and you have to do these things. And then Barry could just look at me and say, yeah, but you know what? I can find homes for every one of those things conceptually in content and topics that we've already talked about. And I can't really argue that. It's maybe a shinier version of that old thing. Everybody went nuts a month ago for query fan out. It just blew up like it was something. And I'm like, I literally do not know a single SEO on planet Earth who doesn't understand this concept and hasn't been working on it for 15 years. It's the basic concept with a new name on it. And yeah, in the world of ML, it's important and it should have that name and do whatever, but you as an SEO should know better. You should be doing this already. So nobody should be shocked by it saying, oh my God, that's new. And now I have to do this. And I will buy a plane ticket and give somebody a crisp high five if they end up as the vice president of query fan out at some company. Like I swear that would be just like Fonzie jumping the shark. And if you're young and you don't get that reference, go look that one up. You'll enjoy the video.
I need to update my LinkedIn profile right now. That's it.
Duane, here's my problem with that.
Right?
Here's my problem with that, though. We talk about this idealized form of SEO that very few people actually do, right? Mm-hmm. Like when you talk about like, oh, everyone should have known about query fan out. Like, yes, query expansion has existed the whole time in a partially different way or what have you. But what tools do we have that explicitly show you this is the direct relationship between these queries?
Mike, your mic is having a moment.
Is it?
There's
Yeah, there's a lot of feedback coming through, man.
I guess the AI doesn't like your answer.
Mike, I just to push back on that, I will point out is it Answer the People, and there's another tool that's similar conceptually to what you're saying, right? Where
Yeah,
you give
you're
it the
talking
start
about,
and it goes on.
you're effectively talking about like, okay, I'm mining people also ask, which is a
Yeah,
form of that,
yeah.
but it's not exactly what these systems are doing.
Oh,
So
I agree.
my point is this, like a lot of us know these concepts, but the average practitioner of SEO, the people that watch these videos, read these blog posts, they read all this stuff and they're like, okay, well, what do I do next? And so then they don't do anything different than the checklist. So yes, the knowledge
Yeah, that's
exists,
fair.
but it's not actually happening because our space is just so backwards in that regard.
I would say that it is happening, but we haven't been paying attention to it. So here's why. We have done our job so well that search is now democratic. I mean, watching people go on Instagram, like community managers and social media experts, explaining to me how hashtags are working. And I was looking at them for years going, you are adorable. Thank you for doing the SEO work I don't want to do. Good for you. So it's one of those situations where I think it's the opposite. People take search for granted, and there's nobody else but us going into the LLM space trying to figure this out. So it's a bit unusual. And when it comes to query fan out, I've been dealing with this as an internal search nerd forever. Because what do you do when people go on your own website to buy groceries and they're typing for healthy, healthy cheap snack? Of course, you're going to query fan out in your own internal search engine. You need to match that
Mhm.
expectation with your own store and with what you know about your audience, how they purchase stuff. So I think that just certain things have caught up and are going much faster, but then there's some stuff that is just so backwards. Like, I am not going to recommend to clients that they remove all their JavaScript just because some crawlers from
Right.
LLMs are slow, inefficient, and costly. I'm sorry, I'm not
Yeah.
here for this. So we're no, I see you laughing and I agree, but I mean, Chris Green was bringing up an example with a big e-commerce site where in the code it said product is available and product is not available. These were the two states available in the code. And then what do LLMs do? Take for granted that if it says not available, let's ignore the available. We're going to say the product is not
Right.
available. So now we're dealing with things that are going way too fast, and to me it seems normal. It's like, hey, weren't we all on the same page that we have to write good content, just period, for humans? And then there's
Mhm.
this other end where we have to figure out, okay, so agentic AI, stuff I think about in the shower. INP as a core web vital is super important now. What
Mhm.
happens with mobile overlap? Like, if the bot is going on there and you have 3 pop-ups, it's going to be pretty deterministic. It's going to go first button, I don't care. I'm not going
Mhm.
to waste my time. So you're going to end up with even weirder behaviors that you may attribute to humans, going, oh, humans are getting less smart. And it's like, no, they're sending bots to do the job. And
Mhm.
we have to think about that as well, these new
Mhm.
behaviors. And FYI for my PPC people, yeah, INP is now something that you should get friendly with your SEO about, your technical SEO, because this will impact you. People are buying shoes with agents now. I know that
Mhm.
I think it was like the SEO Max Waffle. I'm so sorry for pronouncing your last name like this. I can't German well. He purchased a pair of his own brand's shoes with an agent, and it's working super well for him. I don't know how well it's working with everyone. Like Duane, I'm glad that you did not delegate the purchase of your washing machine to an agent so far, okay?
Yeah.
I don't trust it quite well. And last but not
Yeah.
least,
Not quite.
tinfoil hat moment. Perplexity is headed by people who have a contract with Google. They used to be with Google Labs, and in a few years they have to return. Haven't you noticed that some of the stuff that works well in Gemini that they want to popularize, they will take out and put in Perplexity, and vice versa? Like the check sources from Gemini is now in Perplexity, and there's other stuff I see. Like, uh, let's just say a walkway between the two. And when we
Mhm.
know that Google had a few moonshots as well, would I say that Google and so SEO as a whole, because they are the main driver behind that industry at the end of the day, not saying that they like it, just saying they have to deal with it. Um,
Mhm.
are they going to really lose out? I don't think so. That clickstream I was talking about, ooh, isn't that useful for AI mode ads that are coming? Isn't that a leg up on the competition? I can't wait to see how it plays out.
All right, so I want to circle back to something we touched on a little bit earlier. If we do call this a new marketing discipline, which is being found on AI engines, is this something that SEOs today are going to own? And do you think this will allow them to maybe get bigger budgets and maybe salaries too, like Mike was alluding to? So, Mike, do you want to answer that one first?
Yeah, mic check 1 2 1 2.
You're good.
Yeah, so it's my hope that they can do that because again, you're in a space where you've got a lot more responsibility. You have to do this across a bigger content ecosystem rather than just your website. And again, it's an opportunity to reframe because people associate a very high value with AI, and this is AI. So I think if we're smart, it is an opportunity for everyone to reframe. And the question on the name, I mean, that ship has sailed, guys. Like, as soon as Andreessen Horowitz was like, this is generative engine optimization, that's what it is. As soon as the media starts saying this is generative engine optimization, that's what it is. We can push back all we want, but it's too late. We should have done that a year ago when this thing first popped up, rather than just saying it's more SEO. So I think that there's an opportunity, but again, just as we generally have as SEO to begin with, it's a huge branding problem that needs to be overcome first.
Duane, what do you think?
Yeah, I think that is there a chance for more budget? Yeah, I think so. But as we've seen since the pandemic, budgets have been slashed. There's been massive headcount reductions. People are slowing their purchasing. Large companies still have large procurement cycles that take 6 months to a year to get through. Sometimes, forget government. If you're going to look at that, just plan for your kids to take over your contract because it's a long haul with .gov. I think that what we're likely to see in this kind of interim time frame is you're going to see a lot of people who don't understand the space, didn't understand SEO, but were responsible for the teams managing that work, understood it enough to listen to the team and, accept the guidance or say no to the guidance that the team gave them. But they're not practitioners themselves. They don't have a deep knowledge. They're not going to have a deep knowledge in this space either, but they're going to accept responsibility. They're going to hire the people with the skills. They're going to listen to the conversations. They're going to spend the company's budget. I think there's going to be a lot of that. And I think that maybe in 5 years, we will see people with skills in those positions because it will matter to companies, right? Like, something that Mike was talking about earlier, right? Like this decline in click volume that we're seeing, like, I don't see a lot of people talking about the fact that if we can agree that our future is built around an answer as opposed to, a clickable link, for example, if we continue to see that growing and it goes in that direction, we will inevitably find ourselves trying to track a mention versus a citation versus a linked citation. And was that my phrase that was used in that answer? And how exactly do I do it, right? Which kind of comes back to the tools and their ability to do these things properly and, the viability of all of that. It becomes kind of an ecosystem unto itself, its own arcane vertical of data tracking, basically. I think that we're going to see expansion in that area. We're going to see, unfortunately, a lot of people, look, I'm tracking 40 tools right now. Like there's probably going to be another 20 in the next year. And then we're going to see, to Barry's point, like a metric crap ton of consolidation where all of those ones and twos that made up the companies are just going to drift off because they never got funding. They're just going to walk away. They didn't care in the first place. And the whole thing dies. But until that, 2 to 3 years from now, everybody's going to be walking around this weird kind of landscape of, well, this does this and this does that and this does this over here and this does this, and it's going to be hugely messy, which means there's opportunity for some people, and some of those people will be internal people looking to bulk up their budgets with their teams and proposing new headcounts. And because AI is so shiny, when you start talking in that direction, boards of directors lean in and pay attention, and C-suites start to lean in, and headcounts get approved. I need a keyword researcher on my content team. No, you get no more headcount. I need somebody to manage query fan out to determine what content that we should be focusing on moving forward. Is that related to AI? Yes, great. Have 2 headcount. Like, it's this type of world that I think we're about to see. It's turbulence for the airplane, right? It's going to be a lot of it over the next couple of years.
You want to talk about messy? I want to complain about something. My work is being attributed to another SEO called Miriam because some person took a YouTube transcript of one of my talks,
Yeah.
and because my name is not spelled with a Y, it automatically assumed that because I'm talking about local SEO, well, who's the other Miriam that's known for local SEO? And all of a sudden, my entire life, like my Hawaii references, my Jewish background, all of that is attributed to that poor woman out there. And in LLMs, I've been working hard, and the agency that published that slop, it's literally AI slop,
Yeah.
has not changed it. And the efforts I've had to do to fix that, I mean, I
Mhm.
dug into this, and that's why I say like LLMs do need to grow up because the AI
Oh, yeah.
brand semantic drift is
Yeah.
off the walls. It's not just
Yeah.
one thing. You have like
No.
factual drift, you have intent drift, you have the
Yep.
drift of people on Reddit memeing your brand, you have narrative collapse. Like all of these things are going to be something we have
Mhm.
to deal with, and we're going to have
Mhm.
panicked brands coming and going, clean that up. No, I can't just bury the body in
Yeah.
page 2 of Google search results. Now you have
Right.
content debt.
It's
Yep.
funny. It's funny because I have people coming to me and saying, you know, this is what some topic, what could be anything, like what's the best washer and dryer to buy or whatever it is. And then this is the answer from ChatGPT, and I'm going to go with it. I'm like, it's like, first of all, on our topic, I know about SEO. They ask a question that I know about, which is only SEO. I'll be like, that's wrong. And it's just outright wrong.
Yep.
And it's like talking to a really confident friend who thinks they know everything, but they know nothing.
Yeah.
And
Drunk
that's what,
confidence.
but they're going to get better. But at this time, it's like,
You mean it's like talking to SEOs?
exactly. But you know what I'm saying? It's like you have that one friend
Yeah.
that really knows everything,
Yeah.
and they act like they know everything, and they're so confident about it. That's what it's like asking these ChatGPTs or these AIs, and they're getting better. But then optimizing for that, like they can run out. ChatGPT came in with a new model last week. It's brand new, and they had to they said we're getting rid of all the other old models, and they're like,
Right.
and everybody's fighting it. Like we want the old models back. We don't like the new models.
Yeah.
They brought the old models back.
Yeah.
It's we're in a really exciting space. It will get really, really good, and the AI we're not going to have to hire anybody, Duane. It's just the AI is going to do it all for us. So.
Yeah. So, it's funny you say that, Barry, and like half joke, half truth, right?
Yeah.
Where like if you'd have talked to me like 9 months ago, I would have been telling you, we got to be careful with ChatGPT 5 because it's probably going to be capable of doing a lot of work that SEOs do. And like, it'll get there. Right. And so I believe in that. But now that I've lived through a bunch of cycles, the hockey stick is farther away, right? That moment where it ramps up and it becomes a truly utility-based, trustable asset. We are not there. And I just we will get there. I believe that. But boy, oh boy, you need human in the loop now more than ever, right? Miriam's example is like critical for this, right? I mean, anything at all. I do a lot of writing and I put my writing into these systems and I say, find the facts that are incorrect. Find examples that back up this statement. Go do this, go do that. I asked ChatGPT the other night, and this is on 5.0. I asked it, I have a YouTube channel. It's got nothing to do with SEO. And I said, hey, you know what I'd like is I'd like a 10-second bumper that I can add, a video that I can add to the beginning of every one of my videos, kind of like an opening reel, right? Can you do that? Oh, yeah, no problem. About 18 hours into the project, I asked it, can you actually make this video? And it assured me it could make the video. The problem was uploading it now. Dropbox wasn't working. Google Drive wasn't working. All these things weren't working. So after about another hour, I said to it, are you lying to me? And it said, well, that depends. And I'm like, well, there is no version of this answer that should start with that depends coming from you.
So
and then it went on to
SEO.
it went on to explain how it was working on everything I asked theoretically as a simulation in the background. And it was not capable of building a video, interfacing with any of these third-party systems, or doing any of the work that I thought we were doing that it kept telling me we were doing. And then it just went on to like apologize a bunch of times and whatever else, right? And I'm just like, okay, object lesson, right? Like, this
So
is
is
your
your
partner.
ChatGPT Canadian?
God, dude, I don't know, right? Like I get, you know what? I can find out. I'll ask it about maple syrup. I know this, so like I'll dig in deep on it. But point is, like you cannot. Every single word has to be vetted. Every single concept has to be vetted, because the basic concepts, like if I ask about Mike King in relation to an article, I'm assuming there's no other Mike King in this industry that is well known as the Mike King I know, and therefore my reference is solid. And it turns out that there's like two other Mike Kings in America. One's a real estate agent and one's this. And then the system just conflates those Mike Kings with my reference in SEO. And it gives me a link to someone's company that has nothing to do with the topic. And I'm like, geez, this creates more work than it fixes. And so that's like the reality. I tell people it's like you're working with a genius level 7-year-old who has access to humanities knowledge, but is so interested in saying yes to you that they will lie and not necessarily care about the lie. So that you're constantly needing to be on top of it. We're not there yet. And it kind of makes me think, and it kind of makes me wonder, look, the money that's being poured into these tools, you're building your tool on the backbone of ChatGPT, that API call into their system using their logic to come up with an answer to this, admittedly, very narrowly focused questions. Okay. And I think we can all agree that if you can narrowly focus an AI on narrow data, the hallucinations drop precipitously. Like, it gets very accurate. It's really good. Okay. But are the tools that narrow? Is the training set that focused versus what the customer's asking for? I don't know if we're there yet. So my fear is that we're seeing a lot of money thrown into these systems, and we're going to find ourselves like kind of hitting the edges of the envelope really quick. And a lot of customers who are paying on a monthly basis or an annual basis are going to back away when they get stung a couple times. And they're like, oh, the data told me this and I made this decision. The decision you made was dollars, cents, and resources, and it was made on data you have no way to really validate, or that you just trusted and didn't validate. So this is like a hugely problematic layer, I think, that's there. And we have a lot of people taking shortcuts right now. We see it already. We know it.
All right. I'm going to move on because we are rapidly running out of time. I'd love if I could get kind of maybe a quick tip or something from each one of you, how the people watching can adapt as AI search continues to evolve, or any new skills that we need in the next era of search. Barry, I'll throw it to you first.
I'll just repeat what I said. Branding, which is and then I would look into all the new stuff around agentic experiences, agents, and so forth. Play with it a lot. It's new, but play with it.
All right, Miriam.
I actually have more than one tip. I always have more than one tip. So number one, you don't need to be technical. Just disable the JavaScript and see if the important stuff is still there. I could nuance this. If you're a technical SEO, let's go talk. That's fine. But if you're just trying to survive out there, disable the JavaScript and see if all the real information you need on there is on there, like the price of your product, for example. The second tip is, you're not happy with the output you get in an LLM for your brand, click the thumbs down button and give some feedback as to why it's bad. I know it sounds completely just you're wasting your time, but I believe that ChatGPT stopped working, like speaking in Croatian, because Croatians, unlike Americans, are not positive. They're like, you are crap. It got so overwhelmed that it was like, I don't want to speak anymore. Okay. I just don't do it anymore. And the third tip that I have is go on perplexity.ai and select, because you can do that, the Reddit, the social search. Disable the web, just look for Reddit and check what people are saying about your brand, because that stuff is getting eaten up. Like, beyond that, in social, I love the fact that BNP Paribas, a huge financial group, Their logo, if you ask, hey, who is this brand? They will go pull from Bird Logos Volume 1 on Pinterest from some dude named Marco or whatever. Pay attention to social. It does some weird stuff. So go on Perplexity and check it out.
Okay. Duane, your tip or tips?
Okay, I'm going to keep this one pretty simple, and I'm hoping a lot of folks are already doing this. You should be using the major models in all of the systems. My preference would be that you have a paid account, even at the lowest level of paid. However, I'm not going to spend your money. You could go in with the free ones, because what you're going to do here, start with your query Fano, create a whole bunch of actual prompts that are related to your company, 100, 200, run those daily, weekly, monthly through the system, track the results that you're seeing with dates, make a matrix for yourself of where you're showing, then start applying all of this logic that Barry and Miriam have shared. And I'm pretty sure the genius that Mike is going to add here, start applying it to what you're seeing as the actual outputs. I am not aware of a tool that does this for you en masse currently. It may be out there and I simply haven't found it yet. That's fine. But you have to have this view. You have to see what's happening in these systems. You already have tools that'll do that in traditional SEO and the regular engines. You need to create your own version in these new systems. It's a really, really important view for your company.
All right, Mike, you get the final word.
All right, I got 3 thoughts. 1, SEOs, you need to demand more. Demand more from your tools. Demand more for what the work is that you're doing. You've been the janitor for the web for Google for the last 20 years. Like, you deserve more. And also, you got to demand more from yourselves, because again, there's so much that's happening in this space that you need to learn the nuances of difference. Like, if you don't understand what a vector embedding is, and you don't really know what you're doing in this space right now, because everything operates on that. Next thing is embrace omni-media or omni-channel content strategy. Again, it's not just about what's on your website, it's what's across your ecosystem. So you need to be thinking about, what are we doing in Reddit? What are we doing on YouTube? What are we doing on LinkedIn posts? Because for whatever reason, you publish something there and then you're in an AI overview, right? Like overnight. And then my last thought is really on measurement, especially if you work at the enterprise. Like, that is the first thing that needs to be solved. I think Duane wrote a great blog post on this that you can check out on his Substack. But the way I break it down is in the 3 different buckets. So you have your input metrics. That's things like, your passage relevance for the queries in the fan out matrix or what have you. Also bot activity, also the classic rankings, because they're all inputs there. Then you've got your channel metrics. Those are the sorts of things that you get from Profound. And for the record, from my perspective, Profound is the only tool. There's 40 tools out there, but none of them are as good as Profound. And Profound has the lead on collecting the clickstream data as well. As far as I know, like, few of those other tools have clickstream data. And then the last bucket is going to be your performance measures. And that's not any different from what it is that you already look at. That's like, okay, how many people come to your website from this channel, and then what do they ultimately do? So traffic, conversions, things like that. But the main thing to know is that there's no connective tissue between there. There is no Google Search Console for ChatGPT and so on. So the best you're going to be able to get, at least in the short term, is going to be that clickstream stuff. So yeah, those are my 3 tips.
All right. Well, this has been an absolutely amazing conversation, but we've got to end it there. Thanks to Mike King, Duane Forrester, Miriam Messier, and Barry Schwartz. And as a reminder, SMX Next is coming November 18th to 19th. And of course, we'll be continuing to dig deeper into the future of AI search and where we're heading next. Thanks to all of you for watching. Bye, everybody.
Merci beaucoup.